I'm Ray Hutchins, currently the current president of Thai Rockies. I've got I've been an entrepreneur since I was a kid, currently in the IT business, targeting SMBs, heavy emphasis on the S in there, Denver Web Services, Denver Cybersecurity, and also building a SaaS application, Vendor Assessment as a Service, which got me into this conversation as I was looking at the cloud. Nat Cannon, has been my mentor on this and on the cloud aspect of things, and also my app development and looking at these CSPs, cloud service providers, came up with this particular topic which should just open doors. Certainly doesn't cover everything in the subject matter, but I think we'll accomplish a few things. So first thing, number one issue in moving to the cloud is security. That is it. If it wasn't for security, we'd probably all be there on our way, without a doubt, and there wouldn't be any big question about it. But security, we're all kind of coping with it. And so that's what we're focusing on. So let's start here. What does this have to do with cloud security? Okay, so the dog represents you running your company. Okay? That pair of underwear right there represents you thinking about, what am I going to do with cloud security? I've got to go there. I've got to stick my nose in that underwear to solve this cloud security problem. All right? And so you don't want to. You don't see the ROI. You know it's difficult. You might not understand it completely, but until you stick your nose into that underwear, you're not going to solve the problem. Okay? Sooner you get that done, the better. Okay, so only two kinds of companies. Those who have been hacked, and those who don't know that they've been hacked. I mean, is there any real dispute in that at this point? If my job is to hack you, I don't want you to know. I mean, that's the whole idea. I mean, when you're hearing about all these breaches, someone on the hacking side of things made a mistake, right? And so, I mean, that's the whole goal. So it's a problem. Okay, and it makes sense in terms of logically, when you're thinking about moving to the cloud and security, I mean, the cloud should be better. I mean, here's a guy who's running InfoWorld, and there's his statement. It makes sense. They have got the resources. They've got the motivation. Their business model is dependent upon protecting you to the extent that they can. So it makes sense moving. You'd say theoretically it makes sense moving to the cloud regarding security, and so far, so good. If you read the breach reports out there, you're not seeing big problems with the CSPs at this time. Now, why is that? Well, according to what I have read and studied, hackers are still going after softer targets. These are hardened targets. And then also, cloud service providers are still loath to report issues. So it's a total business killer for them, right? So they don't want to talk about it, but at the same time, they are making progress with it. Okay, why these two, being Amazon and Google? Well, it kind of started with me, VAS, Vendor Assessment as a Service. This is a business. This is a platform that I'm working on right now, and it started with, since I was in the cloud space and I was seeing problems, people having the absolute lack of ability to have an understanding which cybersecurity products to buy. And by the way, in my database, I have about 1,500 cybersecurity companies, primarily located in the U.S., some in Israel, Europe, a few in Japan. There are, depending on how you define them, between 50 and 75 cybersecurity product classifications. Firewall, data loss prevention, encryption, security awareness training, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so it's a lot of turf to cover and to understand, and it's very difficult doing a vendor assessment. Typically, when you do a vendor assessment, where do you start? With the requirements. Well, I mean, just defining the requirements for a firewall is no easy task. Okay, I mean, you've got to define the requirements. So then once you define the requirements, then if you're going to do a complete vendor assessment, well, then you need to have every firewall company in there. You need to look at every one of them and all their products and all the features of all the products and match your requirements with that. That's in the ideal world, but I mean, no one's doing it. Then once you even made that narrowing down, then the next step would be to look at the financial health of the company. Are there any lawsuits against the company? What is the sentiment in the marketplace regarding the company? There's more things you could do if you're doing a proper vendor assessment. It's tough. No one's doing it. Even when I say no one, even if you have a procurement office or a vendor management office, a lot of times they're not doing a full job because it's difficult to do. So I said, maybe I can solve this problem. We'll see. Now, looking at the Gartner, back to the question, why these two? AWS, Google. Looking back at this Gartner Magic Quadrant, you might not be able to read all of these up here, but you've got Amazon Web Services way up there on the side over there. And notice this was in April 2003. Google Cloud's not even here. It's not even ranked in there, okay, at this time. But I put Google Cloud, I said, well, I'm going to pick a couple of them and do a component of a vendor analysis on these two with respect to security. And so I said, well, I'm going to choose Google because Google is driving the pricing in the market and they're making a big splash. So I said, that's why these two.
AWS gave a lot of money to Gartner, so they put them there.
It could be without a doubt, there was some money changing hands here as well, okay? So let's just touch. Now you've got a handout on your desk there. We go into this deeper, but the cloud security problems, what are they? And this is not necessarily related to just the cloud, of course, but this comes from the Cloud Security Alliance, okay? This is what they're putting up is the Notorious 9. And you can see what are the big problems out there. All of you in this room, you understand these issues, right? You understand these, but there's a lot of issues. There's a lot of things in there. And then down here in the cloud, of course, you've got this shared technology thing that,
I'm curious.
Certainly.
Let's define small company just for a second.
Oh, wow. Let's define small companies. Well, it depends on who you're talking
I'm
to.
going to give it to you.
Okay, go.
50 employees or less.
All right, good.
What's their reaction to, let me help you choose your cloud provider, when you talk about these kind of issues? Like so overwhelming, I don't even, whatever?
Depends on who you're talking to and how well informed the CEO is or the CFO or the COO. Some of them are ready to sniff the underwear, okay, but not many. Most of them don't realize that there's only two kinds of companies, hacked and unhacked, or hacked and not discovered. I'd say most of them right now, based on my conversations, and the largest conversation that I have ever had is with $1 billion company. And amazing what they don't know, okay, and what they're not facing.
But I would think that the sweet spot for, oh my God, I know I have a problem. I know I have a problem, but I don't know what problem I have. To the point of your picture before.
Yeah.
It is in that, let's call it the mid market, right? 100 million to $1 billion, right? And typically don't have the resources on staff to be able to even start to solve those kind of problems.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Is that a fair?
I think that's very fair. The smaller you get, the more acute the problem becomes, and the fewer resources have been thrown at it, and the greater the lack of understanding of the problem by the company's leadership. I think the smaller you get. So there's more detail on this. And if you go to the Cloud Security Alliance, to that page, I just gave you a snippet of detail on this. On each one of these items, they go into great detail about that particular subject in terms of the problems. Okay. The bottom line, in my opinion, with respect to this whole subject matter, how we're talking about today, and we're going to talk about this some more, is transparency equals trust. Okay? Since none of the cloud service providers are going to take full responsibility for this security issue, then how much are they telling you about the problem? We'll touch on that some more. Next slide. Take a look at this and tell me what you think this has to do with security. Well, my answer is I don't know. I mean, really, don't let your kid get too close to a camel. I mean, as I thought it was pretty cute. Okay, the shared responsibility model. Now, I'm not going to read that all to you. I'm going to let you read it. But that is what you're dealing with. This came off of Amazon Web Services, okay, when I was talking to them. So you get an idea. I'll let everyone take a look at that themselves. Okay. First of all, before we talk about the slide a little bit more, here's a cloud problem. So this was a PowerPoint that I gave to Molly. She put it up on Google, how we use Google. And I noticed that it took away one of the logos on the right side, which is my logo, and messed up this one, messed up this logo. And just a little cloud issue. I just noticed, that I just want to throw that. Okay, so back here, the share response. Anybody have any questions or conversation about the shared responsibility? Because this is what you're facing when you go into the cloud. No liability on their part, okay? I mean, you're on your own, basically. Now, this is the old model right here. You were responsibility for all of the security on all of this. Here's the new model. They're taking responsibility for this part of it, but here we are up here. All of us are sitting up here. We're still responsible for this, okay? And how far are they willing to go? In a perfect world, they would take over all of this, okay? And they would be responsible for it, but they're not going up in there because of the liability on it. They can't do it. And when you read those SLAs, if somehow, I mean, now VMware has done an amazing job so far from keeping a hacker in here from jumping over into here. So far, I mean, you just don't read about anything happening. So I mean, they've really, it's mind-boggling, frankly. But if that happens and something starts happening in here, their cloud service providers' liability to you is what you paid them for a year or something like that. I mean, that's about the end of the game, okay? So you've got to keep that in mind, that you've still got a very important security responsibility that you've got to stay on top of. So your security problems have not gone away. I'm sorry for standing in your way here, Sam.
No.
Okay, so at a high level, looking at these two cloud service providers, kind of give you an idea. This is important here. Amazon's been in business since 2006. Google just started last year. And you can see the difference in the sales. You can see a little bit about their pricing. And then here's some information related to their what kind of transparency they provide with respect to their security offerings. And you can see Amazon's white paper, as it were, 60 pages long, and Google was 14 pages. And I read both those. That was the basis of my presentation to you. I didn't just read them. I studied them, analyzed them. I have a guy who works for me who's located in the Soviet Union. He's a guy from Bangladesh getting a PhD in security, and he's studying in the Soviet Union and is going to immigrate to the United States. Could be very useful to us as a national strategic resource. Anyway, and I have him on the job, by the way. Well said. I could be bringing in a Trojan horse. I don't know. But anyway, you can see that Amazon is just like way out front in terms of the applications and the technology partners, security technology partners, consulting partners and whatnot on their platform. And there's stuff in Google you cannot find the information on, and I've tried calling Google, okay, and just forget about it.
What number did you use?
Oh, various numbers. But now, if you've got a paid, a support plan of some kind, well, then of course you can get to them. But I didn't have that. I was just looking for someone to talk to me, kind of a thing, But could not get through to them. But that gives you an idea of how they're presenting, what their public faces are with respect to their security. This was interesting to me. AWS's documented security processes. In addition to that white paper, that 60-page white paper describing all kinds of aspects of their security, what they do, who's doing what internally and whatnot, which is very good, very comprehensive, they've got all these other papers out there. This is additional documentation out there that they are making available to you depending on what services of theirs you want to purchase. So they go into much greater depth. None of this was available at Google. And I'm not picking on Google. I mean, I used all kinds of Google stuff. I had, going into this analysis, I had no preconceived notions, frankly. I didn't know what I was going to find. Okay, so I'm just reporting to you what and I was surprised as I was going through this, frankly. And I don't consider this any kind of a static picture. This is a snapshot in time, okay? Clearly, Google, being Google, they can read Amazon's website as well as I can, okay? And my assumption is they're working on all of this as well to come up with something better, okay? But this is where we are right now. Security-related customer support. This is a big thing, okay, in my opinion, a big deal. And you can see here the white papers, blogs, forums, live support. AWS has specific live support related to security, okay? You've got to pay for it. But I could not find any live support within Google related to security. Now, they do have live support, and I'm making the assumption that they cover security if you call them up. Surely they would, but they're not presenting it in that manner out there. Phone support, same thing, and bulletins. Those are the items that I found out there with respect to their support. Detailed security comparison. Okay, for those of you that have an interest, you've got a handout where I do a deep dive, and a deeper dive into this, and where I can compare this. And you'll see that in most aspects, Amazon is superior. Not always. There are some aspects in terms of their printed documentation where you'll find Google has got an edge on some stuff. And it was interesting how they're presenting it and how they're presenting their services and their various security features. But I won't go into this. You guys, if you have an interest, you can read, you can go into it yourself. And it's an interesting story. You might want to look into it. The Cloud Security Alliance, that's kind of like the authority in this space right now. They're cranking up this thing called the Cloud Trust Protocol. It's a security alliance procedure for establishing digital trust between a cloud computing customer and a CSP. Potential cloud service customers can request and retrieve information about the CSP. The goal is to help customers make informed decisions. It consists of 23 different criteria for cloud transparency. Back to transparency again, all right? Talking about the configurations, vulnerability, access, etc., etc. This is being put together as we speak right now. And so there's a whole, you can go out there and kind of chase this down further. There's more information on it out there, but it is going to be a driver in this transparency conversation, I do believe. And for your customers, for you, as you're making a transition into the cloud, plugging into this knowledge, of course, would be beneficial to you, and you would be in position to make more informed vendor choices. All right? And here's some of the questions that they were positing. I just took a couple bits of information from it. It goes into much more detail on it. You can use this as a leverage point with your own cloud service providers, find out to what degree they're adopting this and to what degree they're playing that game. Now, we don't have the luxury of doing this with respect to these kinds of mistakes, all right? I mean, so again, I make the emphasis when I'm talking to people, and one of my jobs is, since I don't have a computer science degree, I was not a system admin, I was just an entrepreneur that came up and kind of self-taught, but so I have the ability to communicate to CEOs, COOs, CFOs, folks that are not heavy IT related in a manner that they can get. And so I got started in security because at one time I had 600 websites and I was in the web business, and my sites were being hacked. And I'm going, what? And what is a SQL injection? What? I mean, so that's where it got started with me, and then turned into just learning hands-on kind of thing and moving into it. So that's my perspective, and I try to emphasize, this is where all the crown jewels are, folks. This is everything in an IT-related world, and to be that dog afraid to stick that nose into that distasteful place is not a luxury we've got. So a re-emphasis on that. Conclusions. Well, you probably already got it, all right, here. So I mean, AWS, much more detail, much more configuration support, substantially more support options, vastly more transparent at this time, okay? So, I mean, to me, if you're in a situation making a decision between Google and AWS and security is driving your decision, it's a no-brainer in my view at this point. Unless you're unless you're someone who's already hooked up with Google in some way or hooked up with one of the operating systems that they support at a higher level.
Right here at this time, comment. I mean, Amazon, AWS has been around for a decade. How fast do you see Google catching up?
Man, I would say very.
Okay.
I mean, Google. I mean, but I
assume so.
I make that assumption just because it's who they are, and their cloud infrastructure is so amazing and so strong. For them, it's merely a matter of the documentation and the transparency putting it. So how long can that possibly take, in my opinion, and kind of changing their business strategy. So I'm thinking this is just a snapshot in time right here. So that's the best I've got.
I know you looked just at Google and Amazon, but did you look at other providers just to sort of reference check?
Superficially,
Software by IBM? Or?
superficially, and this is it right here. So there's information here, and there's information. This InfoWorld does a deep dive annual report on the largest 8 CSPs, and that's pretty good. It's pretty good. They get into it on there, so it's a good report to look at for the top 8, and it'll give you, if you're doing a vendor analysis, okay, a vendor assessment, I mean, it gives you some good benchmarks that you can carry to any vendor that you're talking to out there. You can take these reports and ask those questions, those very same questions, and get a lot of information from it. So it gives you a good place to have that security conversation with this information. Okay, so now I talked today about 2 large public cloud service providers. But there's a world of boutique private CSPs out there. And we happen to have one in the room. Sam Kumar, who is a board member of Thai Rockies, and he's already told you he owns New Cloud Networks. He's got a short presentation to make for you. Molly, do we need to tee up his slides, please?
Thank you, Ray. I appreciate
Certainly.
appreciate the opportunity. What Ray did not tell you that AWS goes down all the time, and they might be secure, but it's like somebody made a comment. The CIO, former CIO of Level 3 made a comment that it is more consumer, not enterprise quality. If you're a small software developer with no employees, and in the middle of the night you swipe your credit card and erect a virtual server, and voila, you're in business, right? So there are thousands and thousands of these software developers across the country who swipe their credit cards in the middle of the night and create a virtual server, build it up as they build their software application, tear it down 6 months later. And that's Amazon Web Services for you. Yes, I respect Gartner tremendously, but you pay more money to them, they will put you on the chart. That is a true fact. Okay, so by the way, I am not the founder of Thai Rockies. I'm the former president of Thai Rockies, and I'm on the board of directors. I'm the founding charter member of Thai DC in Washington, DC. And Nat was there several years ago. Anyway, so we are right here in town. We are across the street from here on the I-25. We took over the data center of Time Warner Cable, the landlord, and we cut a 10-year lease with the landlord with another 10 years of options. So we own the data center for 20 years. Like I said before, our original name was Microtech, and we were able to get this beautiful name called New Cloud, trademarked across the country. So we are New Cloud Networks now. What we do is cloud computing and cloud communications across the country, and predominantly focus on mid-sized businesses, like $100 million to $1 billion. There are some small companies who need a tremendous amount of resources, like 50 servers, 100 servers, 200 servers, and we also cater to them. One of our marquee customers is none other than the $1 trillion bank called IMF, International Monetary Fund. In fact, they are in our data center. So coming back to the story, we are an infrastructure as a service provider. According to Gartner, this industry is going to go from $10 billion to $25 billion in 3 years. That's a 41% annual growth rate, which is a tremendous growth rate. Everybody is trying to get into cloud computing. You no longer have to come up with a $1 million check to Cisco Systems to buy all their infrastructure. You just give us $5,000 or $2,000 or $10,000, $15,000 a month, and you get the best resources you can possibly think of. these boutique shops we have several of our boutique shops across the country. They give you custom designs. You'll only pay for what you use. You don't have to buy a huge amount of resources and only consume little part of it. So that's the beauty of infrastructure as a service. Next please. So this is our data center. Best of breed components, Juniper routers, Cisco switches, F5 load balancers, Veeam offsite backup. We are a VMware partner, and the ugly company called Microsoft. We don't have a choice but to live with them. NetApp storage, SourceFire, the #1 security tool. SourceFire was acquired by Cisco for $3 billion. Intrusion detection and prevention. You have no idea how much you are being attacked every day. Unbelievable of attacks. Every day that happens. And that's one thing that we live and die by is our security. We have spent several $100,000 to protect ourselves. We have multiple layers of authentication. In spite of all this, I lose my sleep because there is no network that is not penetratable. You can only make it very, very difficult for them to penetrate, but if somebody wants to penetrate, they can. They have penetrated FBI, CIA, White House, American Express, Citibank, everybody. We have our own diesel engine, Liberty air conditioners. We are HIPAA compliant, and also SOC 2 Type 1 data center. Next slide. So we built a nationwide network. Currently we have Denver, which is across the street from here. And then we have another smaller data center in the Telecom Hotel in downtown Denver. And Phoenix, Arizona. All three of them are linked by a 10 gig MPLS backbone. So this is what we are going after across the country. We are teaming up with a $1 billion service provider that will give us 5 more locations. And so hopefully in about 12 months' time, we will be across the country. Hybrid cloud. What is a hybrid cloud? This is a very cool story. There is a clothing company in New York City with about 100 locations. And they have about 50 to 100 virtual servers and physical servers in New York City. And obviously after Sandy occurred, they're all scared of going down. And they decided to build a hybrid cloud in our data center. We built it for them. We custom designed and built it for them. I practically see this happen. We have a 10 gig wavelength between our site and their site. All of the virtual servers with their associated storage was transferred over into our data center in a matter of days. So within 2 weeks time frame, whatever they had in New York City is also sitting in Denver, Colorado, which is considered safe, by the way. We don't have any of these natural calamities like earthquakes or hurricanes or whatever. So Denver is considered a very safe location. Yes, we did have mudslide, but it happened about 250 miles away from us. So hybrid cloud is the way to go. Some of your resources will be at the customer premises, and some of the resources will be in the cloud. So if something happens at your customer premises, you can go to a coffee shop, buy a brand new laptop from Best Buy or wherever. Voila, if you can sit in Starbucks and be back in business in 15 minutes. That never really happened in the world of information technology before. So hybrid cloud is an extremely powerful tool that you can take advantage of. One of my cloud experts came up to me the other day and said, "Sam, I created a world record." I said, "Justin, what the hell have you created? I need to know." And he said, "I created 15 virtual servers in 18 seconds. I'll repeat that again. He created 15 virtual servers in 18 seconds. That is a world record. So it never happened in the history of information technology. So hybrid cloud is the way to go. And we use a technology called VMware. Very rarely you see a woman entrepreneur building a IT company, and I'm so proud of her. I want to give her a big hug. Her name is Diane Green. She is the founder of VMware. She and her husband were professors in Stanford or something like that. And EMC promptly bought that company and threw her out. So thanks so much for our men. Anyway, so backup and disaster recovery is another thing. 10 years ago, it used to cost, whatever costed you $10,000 a month, you can get it for less than $1,000 a month. So even small companies, mid-sized companies, everybody is doing backup and disaster recovery. There is a massive difference between backup and disaster recovery. I'll explain that to you in 1 second. Backup is just your data is being backed up, like Mozy or Carbonite. That is not disaster recovery. What is disaster recovery is you not only have your data, you also need the operating system, you need the virtual servers, you need all your applications, all your Microsoft licenses. So that is called disaster recovery. So if your building burns down or if your building got flooded, you just buy another laptop, go to a coffee shop, wherever there is Wi-Fi, and you could be back in business in a matter of minutes, not in days. So this is a very powerful service that we provide across the country. We have about 50 installations so far, and we are selling this every single day. It's a very powerful service. Okay, desktop as a service is also a very cool service. Like I said, you can have your laptop on your iPhone, Android, you can have it on your iPad, or you can have it anywhere in the whole country. A cool story is there's a company here with the 40,000 trailers. 40,000 trailers. Whoever thought there is money in trailer, they are making money hand over fist. So this is not trailer trash. And they have 42 locations. And so all 42 locations, we provide virtual desktops and hosted PBX across the country. So 42 locations, and they pay us, I don't know, $15,000 a month or something like that. So desktop as a service is a very cool service. If you have multi-locations like Chipotle or Noodles and Company, they're all headquartered here. I don't know if you know that. This is a perfect service, desktop as a service. The price is still quite high, but it is very difficult to have IT engineers across the country. You don't find good IT engineers in small town USA. They all want to be in downtown Denver drinking beer with their girlfriends on a Friday night. So how do you take care of IT infrastructure in small town USA? Do desktop as a service. With desktop as a service, your laptop is sitting in our data center. What you have is a dumb terminal at the customer prem. So if we need to fix something, we can fix it all in the data center, not in customer prem. So it's really a very cool service. So those are the three products that we provide: is hybrid cloud, desktop as a service, and backup and disaster recovery. We are getting customers from all over the country. Just 2 years ago, we were predominantly 80% of our business came from Colorado. Get this, in the last 2 years, it has changed over. 80% of our business come from anywhere outside of Colorado, and less than 20% comes from Colorado. So that's the beauty of cloud computing. That's really the beauty of cloud computing. This is a game changer. You can call this as the Internet 2.0. So if you don't play the game, your competition will play the game and win some more business from you. I believe that's the end of slides, and thank you very much for sitting through my presentation.
Thank you, Sam. We still have a few minutes. Anyone comments, questions, anything? Any input? Any thoughts on any of this?
Sam, yours is principally infrastructure as a service?
Yes. What we do is there are 10,000 applications net. It is impossible for any one company to manage 10,000 software applications. What we do is we work with the software manufacturers, and we provide what is known as vendor support services. So we house a tremendous amount of applications, but the company that built the software provides the ongoing support. So it's not possible for one company to house 10,000 applications and also give you service. So we depend on people like you. If you have a SaaS application, you come and house it in our data center, and guess who provides the ongoing support? Mr. Nat Cannon.
What about platform?
Platform as a service, yes.
You do that too?
Absolutely, yeah. Platform as a service is just an offshoot of infrastructure as a service. We have a network operations center with about 20 engineers. We use cloud automation software, network monitoring and management tools. Like I said, we live and die by our security. But whatever happens to security, this business is here to stay, and it is going to grow like rampantly. 25 years ago, I remember people were scared of using the ATM. They thought the ATM machine was going to steal their money. But today, even your dog is using ATM. So they'll get used to software as a service or hardware as a service.
Can you, some of what I'm hearing sounds a lot like a managed service
It
as
does.
opposed to a cloud service.
Right.
Or could you talk about
Yes.
some of that intersection?
Yeah. So there are 2 or 3 pieces of our business. One is the infrastructure as a service, and if you have a boatload of IT engineers sitting in your office, you manage your own infrastructure. IT engineers are very finicky. They cost you a minimum of $100,000 loaded labor rate, and then they get bored and they want to leave you. So when they leave you, they take all the intellectual property in their brains and walk away. And they fell in love with some woman in Florida and they're gone. And they're so geeky, they did not have a date when they were in high school. Oh my God, a woman fell in love with me? I'm going wherever she's going. Anyway, I'm an engineer too, so I know how they behave. Fortunately, my parents selected my wife, so I still have a wife. Anyway, so coming back to the story, this business is here to stay. You're right. So there is an infrastructure as a service, and then there is something called we manage your infrastructure. So we are responsible for everything that happens in your infrastructure. So your gross margins goes tremendously high when you not only provide the network, compute, and storage. Right? These are the 3 fundamentals of cloud computing: network, storage, and compute. So we not only provide you all 3 of them, we also manage it for you. And so that is called managed services. In fact, we love managed services because it increases our gross margin. So if you're just buying raw infrastructure, the margins are not that great.
So if I was to buy infrastructure from Amazon, I should not accept the same level of management that I would get from
Impossible.
Right.
Have you ever
If you were to
called
differentiate those,
Yeah.
right.
Have you ever called 1-800-AMAZON?
Well, yes, but I think people confuse cloud from managed service, from fog, of all devices, right?
Right.
So, it's helpful to me to understand where you position this.
We are a full service company. We provide custom designs. Amazon has like McDonald's meal number 1, 2, 3. So you pick either meal number 1 or meal number 2 or meal number 3. When you come to us, we do a deep dive discovery. We actually audit your infrastructure, see what you have, and then come up with a custom design and only charge you for what you consume. Because whenever if we sell you a 100 HP machine, we only bill you for 100 HP, not 200 HP.
So can I just make a comment as a large enterprise CIO? I
Yes.
think the contrast of a Google and an Amazon to now we're talking about enterprise grade services,
Thank you.
albeit the mid-market.
Thank you.
The people on your Gartner graph that would be comparable to this would be CSC, the Verizon telemark
Rack
service, Tier 3, which was acquired by CenturyLink. Those type of services, wherever they sit in the stack, whether it's IaaS or PaaS or what have you, and I think managed service is a tangential or maybe a slightly older term for something. So PaaS is a managed service. It just happens to be really automated, right?
Right.
And where that stops in that stack is really important. And the comment you made earlier about I'm not going to provide services at the application layer. I'm putting words in your mouth right now. Because I can't. There's no way I can do that.
Right.
I have to give that to the vendor that
Yes.
provides the software,
Right.
or the IT shop that customize the application so deeply that they're the only ones that actually provide that service.
Right.
Is really kind of, I think, gets to the crux of what you need to understand in order to really acquire these services properly, and so that you understand the risks you're taking at the right commercial structure. When you're saying, look, I want to use these type of services because I think they're right for my business. I personally think that there's a whole conversation about that has nothing to do with Amazon and Google, frankly, nothing at all. I mean, I wouldn't put a tier 1, tier 2 application on Amazon or Google.
Yeah, I see it as more consumer or real.
Or dev, right? You put your dev, you put your dev out there if you want, meaning because it's not production grade, and you can turn up and turn down stuff relatively inexpensively for your development shop. But once you go into production and you're putting important things, business processes or data into that service, I would only be looking at enterprise grade services.
Yes. Thank you very much, Mark.
And can I make one more comment?
Yeah,
I think you probably priced very competitively. If you look at a CSC, an IBM, a CenturyLink, a Verizon service, I'm guessing you're competitive with those guys, but probably not with Google and Amazon. You're more expensive. It's my guess. I don't know.
We are taking business from Amazon all the time. Customers are frustrated with Amazon because they don't have support, and they also don't give you managed services.
Yeah, your enterprise customers are frustrated because they're putting tier 1 applications and it goes down and they're like, well, wait a second.
Yeah, right.
What's the deal? I actually need that because my customers are using it, or my employees are using it.
As you know, this is a consumer grade, but still it's a very important company in America called Netflix. It has gone down several times, not because Netflix did anything wrong. It is sitting on Amazon. So the infrastructure keeps going down all the time. They just don't tell you. You Google Amazon outages, you will get a earful on the internet. So it is a consumer grade. So more than anything, the custom designs, and we also personally care. You can pick up the phone and dial my cell phone number until 11 o'clock any night. I am awake until 11 o'clock. And then after that, somebody else takes over from me. We have a team that takes care of everyone. So that's why we're winning business against Amazon all the time. So mid-sized enterprises, it is very difficult to keep these IT engineers. They get bored, they want to learn something new, and they walk away from it. They have no hesitation in leaving you. And once they leave you, they take all the intellectual property with them, and you are out of luck. You got to start all over again. With us, the intellectual property is sitting in 25 different brains. So even if one of our engineers leave, we can draw from the other 24 people. That's very important. So we live and die by our engineers. That is our. The most important asset we have is not the data center. It is our engineers.
You're virtualizing the brain.
Yes.
Most important intellectual asset, the engineers, and it's Sam. It's been in this business forever. I can tell you that. Here's an example. You were talking about the mid-sized companies and larger companies and problems with Amazon. Thai Global. We're a chapter of Thai Global. There's 62 chapters. You'd consider them a small operation overall. And so they run off of one platform, the 62 websites, and there's a lot of content on those websites and whatnot. But and they've got a full-time IT guy working it, and the Thai Global president is a former CIO of a large enterprise. Anyway, I was having problems. The load time, getting the page load times, getting into their site was like, it was approaching times a couple of minutes, and I'm going. Finally, this was kind of a historical thing that I would accept. And finally, they sent out some email. Oh, we're going to do some work on the website. Do you have any ideas? And I went, hell yeah, I got an idea. Someone go in there and do something with that website. And I told them, I said, and so they came back and said, we've got too many crawlers coming through, and we've got a problem with this, that, and the other. But it turns out that they were on Amazon and AWS, and they had a load limit on there, and it was bumping up against this, and no one was watching. So they went in and paid just a little bit more money, and everything was fixed, kind of thing. But this went on for a year. I'm telling you, a year went on in there for a small business on there. So I doubt if that would happen over here.
Yeah, no.
Okay? No. So that's kind of a difference.
What we do is we increase the horsepower without you and even you knowing about it, and then we'll call you and say, instead of consuming 100 HP, you're consuming 125 HP. So we're going to send you an addendum to your existing contract, and you sign off on it. And most of them have no problem because with our portal, you can see how much HP you're consuming on a daily basis. So you will know that instead of doing 100 HP, you're doing 125 HP, and they have no problem paying for something that they're consuming. So one of the things is there are 44 chapters of Thai organizations across the globe.
61.
61, thank you. It's truly an international club, and I highly encourage all of you to become charter members. And this Saturday, we are treating about 90 people for a delicious Indian dinner in my home. And feel free to come down, but you have to pre-register with Molly or with Ray or myself. I can give you my business card. It'll be a fabulous event if you want to join us.
Come join us. We can continue this conversation
Absolutely.
at the meeting over there.